Good evening, restless souls. Settle in, let the darkness fold around you, and listen closely to a truth that was never meant for the soft-hearted. We are often told that the concept of a burning, agonizing hell was invented by medieval priests to terrify the masses. But the roots of this idea go back far deeper into antiquity. Long before the modern world existed, the philosophers and poets of ancient Greece mapped out a much darker abyss. They spoke of a realm where the soil beneath your feet turns to burning clay, and rivers do not flow with water, but with boiling blood, liquid fire, and the endless screams of the unforgiven. This is not the sanitized, romanticized truth of Mount Olympus. Plato gave us one of the most detailed philosophical visions of the underworld, while other details survive in Homeric, Orphic, and later Roman traditions. Tonight, we peel back the veil of classical mythology to explore the terrifying geography of the underworld. We do not use simplified modern adaptations. Every detail of this journey is carefully reconstructed from ancient texts, from Homeric epics to Plato's philosophical dialogues to the sacred, mysterious gold leaves buried with ancient initiates. Prepare your mind to descend into the deep. Let us cross the threshold. To understand the torment of the rivers, we must first look into the eye of the abyss itself. In the earliest verses of Greek epic poetry, Homer mapped the ancient architecture of the gods. He described Tartarus as a deep, bronze-bound prison hidden far beneath the earth. It was a black, airless void, a gaping nothingness where the old titans were bound in rusted chains of copper, hidden away beneath layers of heavy rock and divine grief. In the early epic tradition, it was said that if you threw a bronze anvil from the heavens, it would fall for 9 days and 9 nights before striking the earth. And if you threw it from the earth, it would fall for 9 days and 9 nights more before finally hitting the floor of Tartarus. But as the centuries passed, this mythic prison transformed into something far more psychological. In the 4th century BC, the philosopher Plato, writing in his dialogue the Phaedo, gave Tartarus a terrifying, metaphorical structure. He envisioned it not merely as a stationary cage, but as the central drain of the entire cosmos. It is a colossal sinkhole. All the waters of the earth flow down into its open mouth, and all the rivers of the underworld are vomited back out from its depths in a violent, endless cycle of expansion and collapse. For the ordinary souls who lived lives of quiet mediocrity, death was a faded, gray sleep in the asphodel meadows. But for those who crossed the threshold of mortal taboo, those who spilled the blood of their own kin or defied the laws of the cosmos, Tartarus became a prison of tailored, inescapable agony. The stage of their punishment was set. But the deeper one descends, the more the silence is broken by a terrifying sound. Let us stand upon the scorched banks of the first river of torment, Pyriphlegethon, the river of burning fire. In the Phaedo, Plato described Pyriphlegethon not as a river of water that burns, but as a dense, boiling torrent of fire, volcanic ash, and thick, boiling mud. It coils round the earth like a serpent, winding its way through the darkest caverns of the underworld before plunging directly into the deepest, most suffocating depths of Tartarus. The soil on its banks is not stone, but a foul, burning clay that ignites upon contact with the water, creating a landscape of eternal, unyielding combustion. Who dwells in this river of boiling fire? Plato wrote that Pyriphlegethon is the eternal prison for those who committed the ultimate violation of nature, matricide and patricide. These are the souls who, in a fit of greed, hatred, or madness, took the very lives that birthed them. Think of Agamemnon's son, Orestes, hunted to the edge of insanity by the Furies for slaying his mother Clytemnestra. In the mortal world, a killer might run from the law, but in the underworld, there is no escape. In his philosophical reconstruction, Plato did not describe physical fire, but a symbolic, mental agony. Yet later, popular traditions took his words literally, imagining a terrifying loop where the spiritual flesh of these kinslayers is melted away by the boiling clay, only for the waters of the river to reform their bodies so the torment can begin anew. Yet, as terrifying as the river of fire is, there is another place, where the torment was not of heat, but of cold, and the sound of endless weeping. What happened next shocked even the gods. Running parallel to the boiling torrent of fire is its grim, freezing twin, Cocytus, the river of wailing. If Periphlagathon is the fire of hot-blooded fury, Cocytus is the freezing cold of regret. Homer and Plato both described how these two rivers of opposite nature rush through the dark valleys of the underworld, their currents colliding in a massive, deafening waterfall that plunges into the dark lake of Acheron. While the cold-blooded, unrepentant murderers are cast directly into the deepest, silent vaults of Tartarus, Cocytus is reserved for a very specific class of sinner. These are the hot-blooded slayers, those who took a life in a sudden moment of blind, explosive rage, but whose souls were instantly consumed by deep, agonizing regret the moment the deed was done. For these regretful souls, Plato described an extraordinary psychological trial. They are not kept in Cocytus forever. Instead, the currents of Cocytus and Periphlagathon wash them down into Tartarus and then spit them back out into the waters of the Acheron lake. As they drift near the shore, they must call out to the spirits of the victims they murdered in life. They plead, they scream, they beg for forgiveness, their voices echoing off the cold stone and frozen water. If the victim hears their cries and chooses to grant them mercy, the sinner is allowed to step out of the boiling mud and freezing slush, finding peace at last. But if the victim turns away in cold silence, the sinner is dragged back into the current, forced to ride the violent loop of the rivers again and again until their victim's heart finally softens. For a long moment, the greatest warriors of Greece said nothing. The battlefield fell silent inside their minds. Sometimes, the most terrifying prison is not the walls of stone, but the heart of the one you broke. Yet, even in the depths of punishment, there lies a secret path that the gods kept hidden from the masses. Before any soul can ever reach the rivers of punishment, they must face the grand, elemental boundaries of the underworld, Acheron and Styx. In the oldest Greek traditions, Acheron, the river of pain, is the principal entrance to Hades. Here stands Charon, the dark, weathered ferryman of the dead. He demands a single coin, an obol, placed under the tongue or over the eyes of the deceased during their funeral rites. This custom was so sacred that archaeologists have found these coins in ancient graves across Greece. But what of those who died in lonely shipwrecks, or whose bodies were left to rot on distant battlefields without a proper burial? Centuries later, the Roman poet Virgil gave literature one of the most influential visions of this journey. In his epic, the Aeneid, Virgil shifted the primary crossing point from Acheron to the dread river Styx. Under his Roman gaze, those who could not pay Charon's fee and those who received no funeral rites were rejected at the shore. They were condemned to wander the cold, foggy shores of the river for 100 long years, whispering in the mist, before they were finally allowed to cross the water. The Styx was the river of hatred, and its power was feared even by the gods of Olympus. In Hesiod's Theogony, we learn that the gods swore their most sacred, unbreakable oaths by its name. If a god lied after swearing on the Styx, Zeus would force them to drink from a golden jug of its dark water. The lying god would instantly fall into a paralyzed, breathless coma for 1 full year and be cast out from the council of the gods for 9 years more. The Styx was the ultimate keeper of cosmic order. It proved that in the ancient Greek universe, not even the gods were above the law of truth. But there was one final river. A river that did not bind the gods, but stole the very souls of men. And now, we reach the ultimate threshold of the underworld, Lethe, the river of oblivion. Its waters flow in absolute silence, and its name literally translates to forgetfulness. In his philosophical myths of reincarnation, Plato described how the gods of Olympus demand that every soul drink from Lethe before returning to the living world. The moment the water touches their lips, the memory of their entire past life, their triumphs, their loves, the faces of their children, and the painful wisdom they earned through suffering is instantly wiped clean. They become blank slates, hollow vessels ready to be sent back to the earth to toil and bleed all over again in the endless, meaningless cycle of rebirth. This was the comfortable, tragic fate of the masses, complete erasure. But there were those who refused to forget. In the ancient, secretive cult of the Orphic mysteries, initiates were taught a forbidden truth. They believed the soul was a divine spark trapped in a mortal body, and that complete forgetfulness was the ultimate spiritual death. Buried in their graves, archaeologists have discovered small, golden leaf-shaped tablets inscribed with instructions for the dead soul. The gold tablets warned the initiate, "You will find on the left of the house of Hades a spring, and by it a white cypress. Do not go near this spring. You will find another, cold water flowing forth from the lake of memory. Say to the guardians, I am a child of earth and starry heaven, but my race is heavenly. Give me to drink of the cold water." By refusing to drink from Lethe and instead drinking from the sacred pool of Mnemosyne, the goddess of memory, the initiate preserved their divine, immortal spark. They did not forget. They did not return to the painful cycle of rebirth. They entered the golden paradise of Elysium as conscious, fully awakened, and enlightened beings. They realized that in the underworld, as in life, memory is not a burden. It is the only path to immortality. Our journey through the dark valleys of the underworld has reached its end, but the rivers still flow, deep within the forgotten chambers of our own minds. The Greeks did not write these myths merely to terrify us with boiling mud or freezing ice. They wrote them to remind us that our choices matter, that the pain we cause, the memories we choose to preserve, and the oaths we keep shape the very architecture of our eternity. Somewhere beyond the quiet waves, beneath the fading stars, the silent ferry of Charon still glides, and the cold waters of Mnemosyne still wait. When your time comes, and you stand before the two springs of the house of Hades, what will you choose? To forget or to remember? If this descent into the dark brought peace to your evening, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with those who dare to look beyond the veil. Thank you for listening. Rest well, sleep deeply, and may your dreams be guarded by the silent starlight of Olympus. Good night.